The morning light filled the grand hall of Zephyrian University as Professor Veltar walked to the front of the room. His blue skin glowed softly under the crystal lights. 12 of the best students in the galaxy sat waiting for him to speak. They came from different worlds and looked very different from each other. Crix sat in the front row. His body was made of living crystal that changed colors when he thought hard. Next to him sat Wisp, whose ghostly form could barely be seen. She was from a race that lived mostly as energy. Behind them sat other students from worlds far across the galaxy. Professor Veltar had taught at the university for over 300 years. He had studied many different alien races. Today, he had something special for his best students. Today, I give you the most important task of your studies, he said. His voice was deep and calm. The Galactic Council has found a new world. The beings there call it Earth. We need to learn about the creatures that live there. The students looked at each other with excitement. Studying a new race was the dream of every student at the university. It was a chance to discover something that no one else knew. These creatures call themselves humans, the professor continued. They are young. They have only just started to travel in space. Our ships have watched them from far away, but we need to know more. Crix raised his crystal hand. What do we know about them already, Professor? Very little, Veltar replied. They have 2 arms and 2 legs. They stand upright like many races. They live on a blue and green world with lots of water. They seem to fight each other often, but they also build cities and make art. Wisp spoke in her soft voice that sounded like wind. How long do we have to study them? 1 full Earth year, the professor said. That is about 400 of their days. You will watch them from a hidden ship. You must learn everything you can about how they live, how they think, and what they want. The professor walked to a large screen on the wall. Pictures of Earth appeared. The students saw blue oceans, white clouds, and green lands. Cities with tall buildings covered parts of the world. The planet looked beautiful, but ordinary. Your job is to answer 3 big questions, Veltar said. First, how smart are these humans? Second, how do they live together? Third, are they dangerous to other races in the galaxy? A student named Zenth raised his fin-like hand. He came from a water world and breathed through gills. Professor, do they know we exist? No, Veltar answered. They have never seen other intelligent life. They do not know there are other races among the stars. We must keep it that way. You will watch, but never let them see you. The students felt nervous and excited at the same time. This was real research, not just reading books in the library. They would be the first from their university to study humans up close. Professor Veltar gave each student the special job. Crix would study human logic and thinking. His crystal mind was perfect for understanding how others solved problems. Wisp would study human feelings and emotions. Her people could sense what others felt even from far away. Zenth would watch how humans acted around water and other life forms. Student Flux, whose race shared one big mind, would study how humans worked. Together, each student had something special they could do to help understand humans better. When do we leave? Asked a student whose name was hard to say in Galactic Common Language. She came from a world where people looked like tall plants. Tomorrow, the professor said. Your ship is ready. It has the best hiding technology we have. The humans will never know you are there. You can watch their television, listen to their radio, and observe their daily lives. The students spent the rest of the day getting ready. They packed their equipment and said goodbye to friends. Some had never been away from their home worlds for so long. Others were excited to see new stars. That night, Crix lay in his crystal bed thinking about the mission. His people loved to solve puzzles and understand how things worked. Humans seemed like the biggest puzzle he had ever faced. How could a race that fought so much also build such beautiful cities? Wisp floated in her energy chamber, feeling nervous. Her people usually avoided other races because their emotions were too strong and painful to sense. But she was curious about these humans. What did they feel? What made them happy or sad? The next morning, the 12 students met at the spaceport. Their ship was sleek and silver, designed to be invisible to human technology. Inside, it had everything they needed for a long mission. There were comfortable rooms for each student, a big study area, and powerful computers to record everything they learned. Professor Valtar came to see them off. "Remember," he said, "you are not just students anymore. You are researchers representing our entire university. What you learn about humans could change how we understand intelligent life in the galaxy." The ship lifted off quietly and headed toward the edge of known space. Earth was many days away, even traveling faster than light. The students used the time to study what little was already known about humans, and to plan their research as they traveled through the dark between stars. None of the students knew they were about to discover something that would shake their understanding of life itself. They thought they were going to study a simple, primitive race. Instead, they would find something that would terrify them and change everything they believed about what it meant to be intelligent. The ship moved silently through space toward a small blue world where creatures lived who were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen before. The alien ship reached Earth after 7 days of travel. It moved into position high above the planet, hidden by advanced technology that made it invisible to human eyes and machines. The 12 students looked down at the blue and green world. Through their viewing screens, Earth was more beautiful than the pictures had shown. White clouds moved across blue oceans. Green forests covered the land between cities that sparkled with lights. It looked peaceful and calm from space. Krix started his work right away. His crystal body glowed as he connected to the ship's computers. He began downloading human information from their internet, television, and radio signals. What he found in the first hour made his crystal form turn dark red with confusion. Professor Valtar was wrong, Krix said to the other students. These humans are not simple at all. Look at this. On the main screen, he showed pictures of human weapons. There were guns, bombs, missiles, and other devices made for fighting. But these were not ordinary weapons. Some of them could destroy entire cities. Others could kill every living thing on the planet. They have enough weapons to destroy their world many times over, Krix said, his voice filled with shock. But they are still alive. How is this possible? In all the known galaxy, no race had ever built weapons that could destroy their own planet and survived. Most races stopped fighting once they learned to build cities. They realized that working together was better than fighting. But humans were different. They had built these terrible weapons, and somehow had not used them to destroy themselves. This made no sense to Krix's logical mind. Wisp made her own disturbing discovery. She was floating near the ship's sensors, trying to feel human emotions from far away. Her ghostly form began to shake with fear at what she sensed. "Something is wrong," she whispered to the other students. "When humans are in danger, they do not act like other races." She showed them videos she had found of human disasters. There were earthquakes, floods, fires, and accidents. In every case, other races would run away to save themselves. This was normal and smart. But humans did something different. When buildings fell down in earthquakes, humans ran toward the broken buildings to look for people trapped inside. When floods came, humans got in boats and went into the dangerous water to save others who were drowning. "Look at this," Wisp sighed, pointing to a video on the screen. This human sees a burning house. Instead of running away from the fire, he runs toward it. He goes inside to save a family he does not even know. The video showed a man named Jake running into a house, filled with smoke and flames. He came out carrying a little girl, then went back in for her brother, then again for their parents. He saved 4 people before the house fell down. Why would he do this? Asked Zenth, his gills fluttering with confusion. He could have died. Those people were not his family. He gained nothing by saving them. The students watched more videos. They saw humans jumping into freezing water to save strangers who fell through ice. They saw humans running into dangerous places during storms to help people get to safety. They saw humans sharing their food with others during famines, even when they did not have enough for themselves. This behavior was not normal. Every intelligent race the galaxy knew about cared for their own family first, then their friends, then their community. But only if it was safe. No race risked their own life for strangers. Student Flux was the most confused of all. Her race shared one big mind, so they always worked together. But they still only helped each other. The idea of risking your life for someone you did not know was impossible to understand. I have studied their history books, Flux said. This strange behavior goes back thousands of years. In every war, in every disaster, in every crisis, some humans choose to help others instead of saving themselves. She showed the students stories from human history. There were soldiers who stayed behind to let others escape. There were doctors who worked with sick people during plagues, knowing they might die. There were ordinary people who hid others from enemies, even though they could be killed for it. Here is the most confusing part, Flux continued. Other humans celebrate these people. They write songs about them. They build statues to remember them. They teach their children to be like them. The students stared at the screen in silence. This was completely different from anything they had ever learned about intelligent life. Crix ran more analysis on human behavior. His crystal body turned different colors as he processed the information. I have found something else that makes no sense, he said. Humans become more dangerous when they are protecting others than when they are protecting themselves. He showed them videos of human parents defending their children from wild animals. The humans fought with strength and anger that seemed impossible. They used tools, threw rocks, and even fought with their bare hands against creatures much larger than themselves. A human mother fought off a bear to save her child, Crix said. A human father lifted a car to free his son, who was trapped underneath. These actions require strength beyond what their bodies should be able to do. The students watched more examples. They saw teachers protecting students during attacks. They saw neighbors defending each other from criminals. They saw strangers helping police catch dangerous people. It is like they have 2 different personalities, Wisp observed. When they are calm, they seem normal. But when someone they care about is in danger, they become like wild animals. After 2 weeks of studying human behavior, the alien students held their first meeting to discuss what they had learned. They sat in a circle in the ship's main room, each one looking worried and confused. I do not understand these creatures, said Zenth. They should have destroyed themselves long ago. How can a race that builds such weapons still exist? Maybe they are not as violent as we think, suggested one of the plant-like students. Maybe they are just very good at controlling themselves. But Crix shook his crystal head. No, they are violent. I have counted their wars. They have been fighting each other for their entire history. But they also help each other. Sometimes the same human who fights in a war will risk his life to save enemy soldiers who are hurt. The students realized they were studying something completely new. Humans did not fit any pattern they had learned about intelligent life. They were dangerous and peaceful at the same time. They were selfish and selfless. They were logical and emotional. As the days passed, the students found more examples of human behavior that confused them. They began to feel nervous about what they were discovering. These humans were not like any other race in the galaxy. And that made them very, very dangerous. 6 months had passed since the alien students began watching Earth. They thought they were starting to understand humans, but then something happened that changed everything they believed about intelligent life. It was a hot, dry summer day in a place humans called California. The students were watching a small town called Pine Valley through their ship's cameras. About 2,000 humans lived there, surrounded by forests and mountains. It looked peaceful and quiet. Then the fire started. Lightning struck a dead tree. On the mountain above the town, the tree caught fire, and the flames spread quickly through the dry forest. Strong winds pushed the fire toward Pine Valley. Soon the whole mountain was burning. The alien students watched through their screens as the fire moved closer to the town. They expected to see what any intelligent race would do in this situation. The humans should run away as fast as possible. The smart ones would leave first, taking only what they needed to survive. But that is not what happened. Instead of running away, many humans ran toward the fire. They put on special clothes and carried water and tools. Some got in big red trucks and drove up the mountain roads toward the flames. "What are they doing?" asked Zenf, his gills fluttering with fear as he watched the humans drive into danger. Crix's crystal body turned bright orange with confusion. This makes no sense. The fire will kill them. Why are they not escaping? The students watched as human firefighters worked to stop the flames. But these were not just people whose job was to fight fires. Regular humans were helping too. A man named Jake Murphy, who fixed cars for a living, was carrying water to the firefighters. A woman named Lisa Carter, who worked in a store, was helping evacuate animals from a farm near the fire. The fire grew bigger and more dangerous. The alien students could see through their heat sensors that the temperature was hot enough to kill humans in minutes. Any intelligent race would have left by now, but the humans stayed. "Look at this," Wisp said, her ghostly form shaking with emotion. "I can feel what they are feeling. They are scared, but they are not running. They are more worried about others than about themselves." The fire reached the edge of town. Houses began to burn. Now surely the humans would leave, the students thought. No one would stay to fight a fire that was already burning their homes. They were wrong again. The students watched in horror as humans ran into burning buildings to look for people who might be trapped inside. They saw a firefighter named Don Rodriguez climb through a window of a nursing home where old people lived. The building was full of smoke and flames, but he went in anyway. "Someone has to help them," Dan said into his radio. "These people cannot run. I am not leaving them." Dan made trip after trip into the burning building. Each time he carried out an old person who could not walk. The roof was starting to fall, but he kept going back. Other firefighters told him to stop, that it was too dangerous. "One more," Dan said each time. "Just one more." The alien students counted. Dan saved 12 old people from that building. On his 13th trip, part of the roof fell down and trapped him inside. He did not come out. The students sat in shocked silence as they watched Dan's body being carried away. He had died to save people he barely knew, people who were already near the end of their lives, people who could not help him or pay him back. "Why?" whispered one of the plant-like students. "Why did he do that? It makes no sense." But the humans were not done surprising them. As the fire spread through the town, the students saw more impossible behavior. They watched humans form lines to pass buckets of water, even though it meant staying near the dangerous flames. They saw people run back into burning houses to save pet animals. They saw neighbors helping each other, even when their own homes were on fire. A woman named Betty ran into her burning house 3 times. The first time she saved her cat. The second time she saved important papers. The third time she went back for her neighbor's dog that had gotten scared and hidden under a bed. The dog is not even hers, Flux said, her shared mind struggling to understand. Why would she risk her life for an animal that belongs to someone else? The fire burned for 3 days. When it was finally out, the alien students looked at the damage. Half the town was gone. Many humans had lost their homes. Some had died fighting the fire, but then the students saw something that confused them. Even more, humans from other towns came to help. They brought food, water, clothes, and tools. They helped clean up the burned areas. Some came from hundreds of miles away to help people they had never met. Look at this, Crick said, showing video of the cleanup. These humans are not from Pine Valley. They have no reason to help, but they came anyway. The students watched as volunteers worked day and night to help the fire victims. They built temporary houses for people who had lost their homes. They cooked meals for everyone. They took care of children whose parents were hurt. A man named Gary drove his truck 8 hours to bring supplies to Pine Valley. When someone asked him why, he said, they needed help. That is enough reason for me. Wisp felt the emotions of all these humans. They are happy, she said in amazement. They lost their homes, some lost friends, but they are happy because they helped each other. I have never felt anything like this. The alien students realized they had witnessed something. That should be impossible. A disaster that would destroy most communities had made the humans stronger. Instead of fighting over the few resources left, they shared everything. Instead of blaming each other for the fire, they worked together to rebuild. This goes against everything we know about intelligent life, said Zenth. When resources are scarce, races fight. When communities are damaged, they fall apart. These humans do the opposite. Crix analyzed the data for days. His crystal body changed colors rapidly as he tried to process what they had seen. I have a theory, he finally said. But it is so strange, I am not sure I believe it myself. What is your theory? Asked Flux. I think humans evolved differently than other races, Crix said slowly. Most intelligent life learns to avoid danger and preserve themselves. But humans seem to have evolved to protect their group, even at the cost of individual lives. The students thought about this. It would explain the strange behavior they had seen. But it also meant humans were fundamentally different from every other known race in the galaxy. If that is true, Wisp said quietly, then humans are not just another primitive race. They are something new, something that has never existed before. The students looked at each other with growing fear. They had come to study a simple species. Instead, they had found something that challenged everything they understood about life, intelligence, and survival. And they still had 6 months left to study these impossible creatures. The final months of study brought discoveries that made the alien students question everything they thought they knew about intelligent life. Each day brought new examples of human behavior that seemed impossible according to every law of evolution. And survival, they had learned. Flux was the most disturbed of all the students. Her people shared one big mind, so they always knew what others in their group were thinking and feeling. This made it easy to work together and avoid conflict. But humans were different in a way that frightened her. They think alone, she told the other students during one of their meetings. Each human has their own mind, their own ideas, their own goals. They should be fighting each other all the time. But somehow they choose to work together. She showed them videos of human teamwork. Construction workers building houses, doctors working in hospitals, teachers in schools, families taking care of each other. Despite being individuals with different thoughts, they found ways to cooperate. It gets worse, Flux continued. Sometimes, humans choose to go against what their group wants. They will stand alone against everyone else if they think it is right. The students watched a video of a human woman named Amy Brooks. She was a soldier, but when her commander ordered her to do something she thought was wrong, she refused. Even though it meant she would be punished, she would not hurt innocent people. She chose her own sense of right and wrong over following orders, Flux said. She risked everything for an idea. This should not be possible for a creature that evolved in groups. Crix made his own terrifying discovery while studying human history. His crystal body had been dark purple for days as he processed information about human conflicts and wars. "I have found the most disturbing pattern," he announced to the group. "Humans do not just fight to survive or to get resources like other races. They fight for ideas." He showed them examples from human history. Humans had fought wars over religion, freedom, territory, and politics. But unlike other races, they also fought to protect people they had never met. "Look at this war," Crix said, showing footage from something humans called World War II. Humans from one country traveled across oceans to fight in other countries. They were not directly threatened. They could have stayed safe at home, but they chose to fight against humans who were hurting innocent people. The students watched as human soldiers fought in places far from their homes. Many died protecting people who spoke different languages and had different cultures. When asked why they fought, the soldiers gave answers that made no sense to alien minds. "We fight for freedom," said one soldier named Greg Stone. "Not just our freedom, but freedom for everyone." Freedom was a concept the alien students struggled to understand. Most intelligent races valued safety and stability above all else. But humans seemed willing to die for the right to make their own choices, even bad ones. Wisp discovered something even more strange about human emotions. While studying a human city, she found a place where sick and dying humans went for help. It was called a hospital, and what she saw there shocked her. "They have people whose job is to take care of strangers who are hurt or sick," she told the other students. "These people are called doctors and nurses. But here is the strange part. They often work with diseases that could kill them too." She showed them footage of human medical workers during something called the COVID pandemic. The students watched as doctors and nurses worked day and night to help people with a dangerous sickness, even though they might catch it themselves and die. A nurse named Marie Johnson worked for months with the sickest patients, Wisp said. She knew she might die, but she said these people need help. That is what matters. Marie did catch the disease and died from it, but before she died, she had saved dozens of other humans. The other humans honored her memory and called her a hero. "This makes no evolutionary sense," said Zenth. She removed herself from the gene pool to save others who were not related to her. This behavior should have been eliminated long ago. But the students found that this heroic behavior was common throughout human history and across all human cultures. Every human society had stories of individuals who sacrificed themselves for others. They built monuments to these people and taught their children to admire them. The students discovered human teachers who protected their students during attacks, even though they could have escaped. They found human civilians who hid others from enemies during wars, knowing they could be killed for it. They saw human parents who gave up food so their children could eat, and human children who shared their toys with strangers. It is like they have been programmed to care about others more than themselves, observed one of the plant-like students. But programming requires a programmer. Who would design a race to act against its own survival? Crix had been running calculations for weeks, trying to understand how humans could have evolved this way. His crystal body flickered between different colors as he processed the data. "I think I understand now," he said finally, "but the answer is terrifying." The other students gathered around him, waiting for his explanation. Humans did not evolve to be individuals, Crick said slowly. They evolved to be part of something bigger. Their willingness to sacrifice for others is not a mistake in their programming. It is the point of their programming. He showed them his analysis on the main screen. Look at human achievements. They built their cities by working together. They created art, music, and literature by sharing ideas. They developed technology by building on each other's discoveries. Each individual human is weak, but together they are incredibly strong. The students realized what this meant. Humans had somehow evolved beyond the normal rules of survival. Instead of each individual trying to live as long as possible, they had developed a system where individuals would die to keep the group strong. They are not really individuals at all, Wisp said in a whisper. They are parts of a larger organism, like cells in a body. Some cells die to protect the whole body. But there was something even more terrifying about this discovery. Unlike other group organisms in the galaxy, humans could choose whether to sacrifice themselves or not. They were not controlled by instinct or programming. They made conscious decisions to put others before themselves. This makes them unpredictable, Flux said, her shared mind racing with the implications. We cannot predict what a human will do, because they might choose to act against their own interests at any moment. The students realized they had discovered something unprecedented in galactic history. Humans were apex predators who had developed empathy. They were individuals who chose to act as a group. They were logical thinkers who made emotional decisions. Most terrifying of all, they were still evolving. The students could see changes in human behavior even during their year of observation. Humans were becoming more connected through their technology, more aware of suffering in distant places, more willing to help strangers around the world. What happens when they reach the stars? Asked Zenth, quietly. The question hung in the air. Like a threat. The students looked at each other with growing horror as they realized the implications of their discovery. Humans would not just explore the galaxy. They would try to fix it. The day had come for the alien students to return home and present their findings to the Galactic Academic Council. Their ship left Earth's orbit quietly, carrying data that would change how the galaxy viewed intelligent life forever. The 12 students sat in the ship's meeting room, preparing their final report. After a full year of studying humans, they were more confused and frightened than when they had started. The simple research project had become something much more dangerous. How do we explain this to the council? Asked Wisp, her ghostly form flickering with worry. They will not believe what we have seen. Crix's crystal body glowed dark red as he organized their data. We have thousands of hours of video, millions of documents, and detailed analysis of human behavior. The evidence is clear, even if it seems impossible. The students had spent their final weeks on Earth, watching humans in different situations. Every observation had confirmed their growing fear that humans were unlike any other race in the galaxy. They had watched a human rescue worker named Tom dive into a frozen river to save a dog that had fallen through the ice. He nearly died in the cold water, but he would not give up until the animal was safe. They had observed a human doctor named Kate work for 36 hours straight to save patients during a natural disaster. She had not slept or eaten, pushing her body beyond its limits to help others. They had seen a human teacher named Roy use his own body to shield students from a gunman who attacked their school. Roy died protecting children who were not even his own family. Each example added to the mountain of evidence that humans were fundamentally different from every other known intelligent species. When the ship reached Zephyrian University, Professor Veltar was waiting for them. He looked at his students with concern. Their year away had changed them. They seemed older, more worried, less confident than when they had left. "How was your research?" he asked as they walked to his office. "Disturbing," replied Crix simply. We need to speak with the full council immediately. Professor Veltar arranged for the students to present their findings to the Galactic Academic Council within days. The council chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of worlds, all curious about the new race called humans. Elder Nix, the oldest member of the council, called the meeting to order. "We are here to learn about the species you have been studying. Are these humans a threat to galactic peace?" The question seemed simple, but the students knew their answer would shock everyone in the room. Flux stood up to speak first. "Honored council members, we have discovered something unprecedented. These humans do not follow the normal patterns of intelligent life." She activated the holographic display and showed videos of human behavior. The council members watched in confusion as humans ran into danger to help others, shared resources during disasters, and sacrificed themselves for strangers. "This makes no sense," said a council member whose race valued logical thinking above all else. "Why would they act against their own survival?" Crix stood up to answer. "Because they have evolved beyond individual survival. They think as both individuals and as part of a larger group. This allows them to make choices that other races cannot make." The students showed more evidence. They displayed human art that celebrated self-sacrifice. They played human music that honored those who died for others. They read human literature that taught children to be brave and kind. Every human culture in every part of their world values these behaviors, Wisp explained. They do not see dying for others as waste. They see it as the highest honor. Elder Nix leaned forward in her chair. "Are you saying they are naturally self-destructive?" "No," said Zenth. "They are naturally group protective. But this makes them incredibly dangerous to existing galactic order." The students explained their most terrifying discovery. Humans did not just protect their own species. They protected other species too. They had laws against hurting animals. They worked to save plants and trees. They even protected their enemies during wars. "Look at this," Flux said, showing a video of human soldiers giving medical care to enemy fighters they had just been fighting. They were trying to kill each other minutes before, but now they are helping each other. This behavior is completely unpredictable. The council members began to understand the implications. If humans reached the stars, they would not just explore and trade like other races. They would interfere in conflicts, try to stop suffering, and attempt to protect anyone they thought needed help. "What happens if they discover a race that is being oppressed?" asked Elder Nix. "Based on their history, they would try to stop the oppression," Crix answered. "Even if it meant fighting a war, they could not win." The students showed examples from human history where they had done exactly this. Humans had fought against slavery, even though it was legal and profitable. They had fought against dictators who hurt their own people, even when those dictators were in other countries. "They have a concept they call justice," Wisp explained. "It is more important to them than safety, profit, or even survival. They will die for justice, and they will kill for it too." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The galactic community had achieved peace through careful balance and non-interference. Each race managed its own affairs, and conflicts were resolved through negotiation and compromise, but humans would not accept this system. If they saw suffering, they would try to stop it. If they saw oppression, they would fight it. If they saw inequality, they would attempt to fix it. "There is something else," said one of the plant-like students. "They are still evolving. Their technology is advancing rapidly, but their compassion is growing too. They are becoming more aware of suffering and more willing to help others." The students showed recent examples of humans organizing to help people in distant parts of their world. Through their internet, humans could see problems anywhere on their planet and send help within hours. When they developed faster-than-light travel, This behavior will extend to the entire galaxy, Flux warned. They will try to solve everyone's problems. Elder Nix asked the question that everyone was thinking. What is your recommendation? The students looked at each other. They had debated this question for months during their return journey. Crix spoke for all of them. We recommend that Earth be declared a restricted zone. No contact should be made with humans until we understand them better. Are they aggressive? Asked a council member. Not in the way we understand aggression, Wisp replied. They do not want to conquer or dominate, but they will fight anyone who they believe is causing harm to others. This makes them more dangerous than a traditional aggressive race, because their actions cannot be predicted or controlled through normal diplomacy. The students presented their final analysis. Humans were apex predators who had developed unlimited empathy. They were individuals who chose to sacrifice for groups. They were logical thinkers who made decisions based on emotion. They were everything that evolution said should be impossible. They are monsters who rescue cats from trees, Crix said in his final statement. They are warriors who cry at sad stories. They are killers who adopt orphan children. They are everything we thought could not exist, and that makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. A council voted unanimously to classify Earth as a restricted zone. The information about humans was sealed at the highest security level. The students were sworn to secrecy, though several needed psychological treatment to cope with what they had witnessed. But the decision was not unanimous among all the students. As the council session ended, some of the researchers felt torn about their recommendation. Are we doing the right thing? Wisp asked quietly as they left the chamber. Maybe humans could help make the galaxy better. That is exactly why we cannot contact them, Flux replied. They would try to fix everything, and that would destroy the balance we have built over thousands of years. The students returned to their home worlds, but their lives were changed forever. Crix could not stop thinking about human contradictions. How could a species be so violent and so caring at the same time? His crystal form often changed colors randomly as he remembered what he had seen. Wisp struggled with the emotions she had felt from humans. Her people usually avoided other races because their feelings were too intense. But human emotions had been different, stronger and more complex than anything she had ever experienced. Sometimes she still felt echoes of human hope, love, and determination. Months passed. The observation station near Earth was quietly moved to a safer distance, but some monitoring continued. The students were not supposed to watch anymore, but several of them could not stop themselves. They saw humans continue to behave in ways that defied explanation. During a pandemic, human medical workers risked their lives daily to help the sick. During natural disasters, humans from around the world sent aid to strangers. During conflicts, humans created organizations to help refugees and victims. They are getting worse, Zenth reported during a secret meeting of some of the students. I mean, more helpful. Their technology is connecting them more, and they are trying to solve bigger problems. The students watched as humans worked together on global challenges like climate change, poverty, and disease. They saw human children learning about other cultures and wanting to